It's Saturday, which means that it's a good time to check up on the big three, that being Bitcoin, Solana, and Ethereum. Actually, not in that order. We'll be doing Solana first today as typical. And with that in mind, I do want to be going over mainly just the higher term timeframes for these different assets, if you want to call them such things. We'll even look at the Solana versus Ethereum pairing, and maybe even some of the Bitcoin pairings as well. So without further ado, we can just jump right into this one, starting off with Solana right on over here, looking at the daily time frame. Let me just get my notes available to me right here, right now. And if we put on our drawing tools, we can see that this current pullback that did begin in late September has actually gone all the way down to the 50% retracement level right here in the low 130s, about 133 or so. So ultimately, this is a decent bounce place. In fact, if you are looking at Solana, this would be a higher low on the daily, which would be rather important because Solana has retested the same highs once, twice, and thrice now. So a higher low in between those would start to, gear the probabilities in favor of an upside breakout. Of course, still want to see an actual closure above this set of highs right here at 163.5. That is like the big, green light. But there are a lot of actually good things going on in the background right here, at least in my opinion. Looking at the daily time frame, we do see some potential, or actually already confirmed, hidden bullish divergence right here between the lows from mid-September to the low that we did just see potentially here in very early October. Again, keeping in mind those Bitcoin statistics for October lows generally early on in the month, and the highs generally coming in later on in this month. So that would be, kind of in favor of that. And then on top of that, if we go over here to our momentum charts, we can see that the 5-day time frame is going to be showing momentum cross into the upside with this new closure. And we get a new one, by the way, tomorrow night as well, alongside the weekly, assuming that Solana remains above 124.5, which, so far so good. And then, of course, the weekly time frame right here is also going to be flipping back onto the upside, assuming that Solana does close anywhere above 138 and 65 cents or so, which right now is trading about almost $5 above. So looking good as of right now. Also should be known that over here on a momentum chart, we do see that for the weekly time frame, this level for the past, I guess 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-ish months has been the sort of turnaround month for at least bounces. I mean, bounces within the context of this price action right here. Actually, sorry, I completely miffed that up. It's the last 1.5 years, basically, as the other two times that we did see this level hit were obviously way back on over here, where you did see, significant lows before tremendous upside moves in this prior consolidation. And of course, this is a consolidation yet again going on over here. So I would be looking at that as, another generally good thing. In fact, kind of a similar setup, just with regards to that, because you got low number 1, low number 2 in this consolidation, and then big move up. We got low number 1, potentially low number 2 being constructive as of right here, and perhaps setting it up for that next actual move to the upside. Higher term timeframes, more or less unchanged here. Would like to see this month close above 154.5 to really confirm the next sort of major leg up. Until then, it's still the overall range. And of course, we should be going over, what if met would indicate that Solana is fucked. It's getting ready to get fucked. Some red dildo action, and that would simply just be, basically the same shit that we've been looking at for, since like March, April, so about 6 months. And that would be below about 120 on a higher term time frame closing basis. Until then, consolidation likely trends on sideways. Looks like the LARP lines here are still working out, but obviously would need to see this continue sideways and up pretty much from this point, coming into next week. So that is still very much available. But again, the big bad number to be aware of to the upside, the one that actually, means something, it's about 163.5, of which we've seen 1, 2, 3 tests there. So perhaps getting ready to actually break it relatively soon. Moving on to Ethereum right here. Ethereum, it's like the last chance for love again, as we do see Ethereum drop back down into this blue box of perhaps peace and prosperity for the third time on the monthly. If we go down to the lower term time frames, like the weekly, many times since basically August, once, twice, thrice, 4 times, and this is time number 5 right here as well. So the real question is it going to hold? Basically the picture that I want to be painting for Ethereum is that, look, if you're bullish on Ethereum, like this is the place that you want to see a low in. Really no lower than, about 2250. and you want to start to see it turn around. I mean, it probably doesn't turn around this next week, but maybe the week after that is where you'd probably start to expect that to turn around. Daily time frame, as we went over in yesterday's, I believe I made a Twitter post about this, that this one was likely to come down. It certainly did, but this is the area now where it's like, okay, it's down there. It has a chance actually for a higher low, to be fair, and seeing as it is kind of coming off of this multi-year long area, which has been holding the lows basically since the current cycle low of 2022 June, and again connected with December 2022 lows, and then again in October of 2023 lows. You really would be hoping that this level does hold if Ethereum is going to be bullish. So what am I trying to say? Look, if you're bullish on Ethereum, you expect to see a low here, no lower, and no more fucking games with this damn Ethereum nonsense. But going into it, and let me just reassess my notes as usual. It's the weakest one of the big three, by a good margin, honestly. Daily time frame is showing some very bizarre form of bullish divergence here. I don't actually know. I can't understand why this is being calculated like this, to be honest with you, because the RSI is making lower lows and price action making higher lows. It actually should be hidden bullish divergence. Weird. In fact, it is hidden bullish divergence. That is exactly what it is. I don't know why this line here should be blue, not green. But yeah. Anyways, moving on from there, we do see that over here. On our, is this the right chart? Yes, it is. On our momentum charts, we can see that the 5-day time frame is going to show momentum twisting back up to the upside here. Again, going to have some chance for hidden bullish, or actually, sorry, no divergence there. Apologies, not even close. As long as Ethereum is above 2230, so kind of similar to that 2250 number I gave out earlier. Just look, if you're bullish on Ethereum, must hold above 2250, and like from now on, you really wouldn't be expecting any significant tries lower, even towards there, honestly. Weekly time frame is the next big one, obviously closing tomorrow night, and the 5-day does as well, but the weekly time frame is going to have a chance to close potentially above the momentum pivot, which is 2430 or 2433. Right now trading more than $13 below that pivot, but within striking distance. Doesn't necessarily need to close above it tomorrow night in order for this to, suggest that it is likely to flip around. But I suspect that you're probably going to see Ethereum close somewhere around where it is right now tomorrow night for the weekly. This next week is going to be sort of like a small sort of inside bar between about 2,500 to the upside versus 24-ish to the downside. And then from there, that pivot should come down and actually give it a legitimate chance to flip around. And, that would lead us into an October run. But again, this is just me speculating on this one. That obviously remains to be seen. I'm just saying, hey, if you see that sort of roadmap, okay, that's going to be very obvious for Ethereum actually really confirming this as the next sort of major macro low, actually. But until then, there is actually one thing that is kind of concerning right here. I actually don't think that this will play out, but hey, have to represent both sides, accurately. And the weekly time frame does have potential for hidden bearish divergence here. Now, I would argue that this probably already played out because you got the easy move down to the bottom side of the range, but look, if that takes another leg, that will very obviously take things below that very critical 2250-ish number, and then you should really expect it. If that happens, Ethereum's going to be coming down into like the mid ones, probably relatively soon after that, and staying there for a very long time as well. Speaking of staying down low for long, Ethereum Bitcoin pairing. Let me actually go to this chart. I think this chart's just a little bit easier. Quarterly time frame just closed, obviously with the end of September, and very difficult to make any concessions for Ethereum / Bitcoin BULAs here with the way that this one closed. Even if this thing rallied up all the way to 4.7 million Satoshis, which would be from current price like a 25% rally, it would still be, that would be like a major sell, in my opinion. It would be a reconnect with the 5 exponential and very likely down after that. Again, I remain with my stance that for Ethereum, look, I do think back on over here in April/May, there was a chance for an actual reversal. That just led into another lower high, and that was the key factor in saying, hey, this thing is still bearish and there's no reason to be looking for a reversal here anytime soon. If anything, probably further down. I do think that longer term, this thing probably finds its way closer to like 3.1 million or 3.2 million Satoshis. It's just this very slow slide down. It's probably really fucking annoying for the Ethereum believers out there. Also looking at some pairs, let's look at Solana versus Ethereum. This one I think is in a really interesting place actually. Solana versus Ethereum still has not really confirmed the breakout. It's very, very close to doing it. I think that it probably will do it, but of course, until you actually get that confirmation, it's always a question mark. But really would like to see a closure, basically a little bit higher than where it's at right now, about let's call it 6.2 million Satoshis, or that's not Satoshis, that's Buterols. That's Buterols in the background is the denominating currency right there. But of course, the trend is your friend, and the trend is very much to the upside right here. So Ethereum having a very tough cycle, honestly. It's starting to join the rest of the altcoins where, cycle to cycle, it just kind of drops off. At least that's been the result thus far. Obviously, perhaps this cycle's not over just yet, so maybe it's a little bit too early to judge that. But Ethereum has always been like the late bloomer of the cycle. It's always kind of rallied up significantly near the very ending portion of a Bitcoin cycle. Like the last month or two is where it typically gets its time to shine, and then it's all ogre. Because you're in YSwap now. Anyways, yes, so we'll end on Bitcoin here. Just looking at the weekly closure for CME. I won't go through like the full rigmarole on Bitcoin. I'll save that for another day. But weekly time frame here did obviously not just reclaim, but closed decently above the median. I do like that overall, setting up again for, likely an early October low. Can Bitcoin come back down in the short term and, maybe retest this low? Perhaps. But ultimately, I do think that this one does try a little bit higher. We did see that hidden bullish divergence was confirmed on spot price action. So, wouldn't be surprised to see this one kind of try a little bit of a sideways and upside move coming into next week. And again, have to be asking ourselves, or at least I have to be asking myself, within the context of these sticks that we've been looking at, lows for Bitcoin typically come in the early portion of this month of October, and we're by Monday going to be at the end of the first 7 days, the first week of October, which, it's going to start to look pretty damn good. And of course, with the end of October typically being, when the highs are put in, I'd say that bodes well for Bitcoin, as well as seasonality, as well as, a few other things too. And, it's going to be all right. And with the way that the weekly is kind of looking like right here, that very well might have been it. What would make me consider that Bitcoin obviously could come back down and make new lows? It's not going to be a very helpful analysis in this regard, but below Friday's low would do it for me. Again, not super helpful in that regard, but for right now, it actually does look like Bitcoin is going to dig in its heels and really try for a major low here. So I suppose that we'll probably have clarity on that next week. Again, starting Monday, that's day number 7 of this month. So it's going to start to, really edge in the favor of, that is the low. And, Bitcoin probably just try an upside move from here. Anyways, that is going to be it for me today. It's been a nice little Saturday morning talking about some shitcoins, talking about some Bitcoin action as well. People always get very mad when you call their favorite things shitcoins. Look, it's just a term of endearment. I don't know if it's a shitcoin or not. In fact, Solana, Ethereum, they're probably fine. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Just talking shit on the internet. Don't need to take it personally. Anyways, that's good. That's where I'll end things for right now. As always, wish you the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully Sunday.